everybody, welcome back. I'm art teacher Amy and I have another lesson for you. So I hope you're having fun doing some of my lessons with me, even though I can't be with you in person. I do miss our art classes at the schools. So I hope you're keeping busy, having fun, getting outside on the sunny days and drawing with me whenever you have time. So let's see, today we are going to do some fireflies in a jar. I'm thinking summer already, even though it's just spring. And with our nice warm weather here, we can picture ourselves out this summer on those nice summer evenings where you could run around the yard watching the pretty little fireflies at night with their little tails lighting up. And maybe you've actually been out and caught some in a jar and then let them go. So this picture is of a jar, and then we have some grass, a couple of fireflies flying around, we got the moon out, and I have some samples for us here of just a couple of different ways you could do the fireflies flying around. They could just be little balls of light. We can add white and yellow. You could do a little tiny bit of orange. Here's some fireflies in a jar. This is another thing I'd like to try today, if you don't mind asking mom or dad for some salt. We will use some salt later to put in the sky, and you'll get this kind of really cool textured effect. So today we're going to need your watercolors, and need our set of watercolors. Oil pastels if you have them, or you could do the whole thing in watercolors. And then if you can get some salt from the kitchen, if any chance you have sea salt or kosher salt, something a little thicker than the regular salt, but if all you have is your little shaker of table salt, that's okay. Oh, and make sure you ask mom or dad first, because it makes a mess. So we'll do that later over the garbage. All right, and then one last thing. If you feel like, if you want to order one more thing, if you haven't gotten your supplies yet, I know I keep mentioning Target, the store, and Target.com. If you can, I'm taping this while we're actually all home, because schools are closed, and a lot of you, if you're just home and you would like to order online with mom or dad, you can get, like I was saying, most of your Crayola supplies from Target.com. They have a set of colored pencils, markers, a drawing pad, and it's all pretty cheap. You can get a few things, those 3 things for just $10. So if you want to get out of the house, go to the store if your Target's open. The Crayola aisle has plenty of stuff to choose from. I was just in my local Target and they had plenty of supplies. And so I'm going to use some glitter glue on my picture today also, because you know, fireflies have to light up, we need a little glitter. Now I don't like regular glitter, it just gets all over the place, but glitter glue is great. So this is gold glitter glue, Elmer's Classic. It's about $3. So okay, so fireflies. If you are used to taking my classes at the schools or libraries, you know I do a practice sheet first. So if you'd like to pause the video and you want to do this on a separate sheet of paper, you could just grab a piece of paper from mom or dad's printer if they don't mind. So we've got some fireflies, grasses, and our jar, which is called a mason jar. Okay, so you can do that. You can practice that. The other thing, so because we're doing a watercolor project, you will want a piece of watercolor paper. If you had a chance, maybe you picked up a pad of my favorite watercolor paper, the Canson XL watercolor, 140 pound paper. Again, the weight is all about the thickness, so this is very, very thick paper. Okay, so don't forget, you need watercolor paper, your watercolor, a Sharpie, and a pencil. And let's draw some fireflies. All right, so first we have our jar that is, if you cut your paper in half with your hand and you go down the middle, halfway down the middle this way and halfway across this way, the jar is going to be in this corner down here, the left hand corner. So this is probably the closest one that for your paper. You can make your jar about this big if you want. You can make it a little smaller. You can make it really big. This one is taking up the whole paper there, and then I've got the little dots of stars around that jar. So I'm going to start over here with an oval for the top of our jar. And you want 2 straight lines coming off the side. And how big is your jar? Mine is going to be about this big. From here, maybe even a little lower. I'm going to do a little dash. So just mark how big you want your jar to be. Now for some reason, and I haven't figured out why, after teaching for 18 years, that for some reason this curve of a jar or a bottle is kind of difficult to draw for kids. So give it your best shot. You could always erase it. Remember, draw in pencil, trace in Sharpie. So we're going to curve this way down our bottle. And it seems like I can always do the left side better than the right side. And then the right side, I'm going to curve out and down. And there we go. And hopefully, a little bit off, that's okay. Okay, at the bottom of your jar you have a curved line. And hopefully you'll go through your dot. I did not, that's okay. And then we're going to make the bottom an oval here. So that is the inside of the jar. Okay, we have another curve at the top of our jar. And you know what, I'm going to make 2 really skinny lines there. And then go ahead and put in another curve in the top of the jar, but make it only half from here just around there to there. And then we're going to do 2 curves here. A little curve down this side, maybe another one. And then these particular jars, they actually go all the way back to like the 1930s and 40s when people actually used to can or make their own jarred fruits and things like that. So they actually had the word ball on them, if you'd like to try that. If you can do a B, and then it's a script A-L-L. If not, that's okay. You can leave it empty. You could also, if you want to just put mason jar, they're called mason jars also, so you could just write M-A-S-O-N. Or leave it empty. Okay. So now we have these, so our jar is sitting in some tall summer grass. Summertime. Okay, so we're gonna make a big curve up, make a point and curve down. And we're gonna do this, how about 3 or 4 times on this side. And then on this side, we have quite a lot. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, maybe 10 times. So I'll get a few of them here, and I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Miss Amy, those look like seaweed. Yeah, they look a little bit like seaweed right now, but you know what? We can make some of them a little straighter, and also when we color them with different greens, they're going to look like grass. The only thing you really don't want to do is go up and down, like just zigzag, zigzag, zigzag all across the bottom of your paper, because that's not going to look as realistic. Okay, so over here we have, how about a short one and a tall one? And you know, just keep going. They can be medium can have another one this way. And you know what we want to do? We want to get some in the back. So maybe there's one that's hiding. And in art, of course, there's the term overlapping, which is where you would have, just say we have this one here, and I'm gonna make another one hiding behind that one. So this one is overlapping that one. Okay, so then this is gonna be our grass down here, just like plain old, like short grass. So we have, we're gonna need a little hill or something to put our jar on. And then the rest of our picture is gonna be sky. So let's take our pen, I'm using pen so you can see it. And what you're gonna do is you're going to jump over each piece of grass. Now, it gets a little tricky because you start, especially over here, you're going to wonder, let's see if we can go over the jar. It's gonna get a little confusing I'm gonna make these darker to make this really obvious. This is like our little hill here. So as you get over here, you have to keep an eye on which is grass. That's grass, that's grass, that's the ground, grass, ground, grass, ground, grass, ground, ground. Okay, if that's a little too hard, what you could do is you could actually draw the line right at the bottom of all of your pieces of grass. That might help instead. The one thing so the one thing you might want to do, if that's too hard, is you could just do this line going right across the bottom of your grasses. The only thing you want to make sure that your jar is sitting on the grass. So whatever you do, don't put your line under the jar or it will look like the jar is floating. So you need to have, so you see here the grass goes right to the line. So your line can go straight, jump over your jar and keep going. But the jar needs to be, this line has to be above the bottom of the jar. So anywhere up here, just not down here. Okay, so we have a moon in the sky. We have a full moon here. And we have a curve on this side, on this side, on this side, and this side. And now we have the fireflies. So we have, how about two of them floating here? We got oval and an oval and a little wing and a little antenna and their little light. So antenna, antenna, wing. Okay, and how about one in the jar? So we've got an oval, wing, wing, antenna. All right. And then the last thing we have are these little dots, little circles floating around. Now those can be some stars in the sky. They can be more fireflies flying around that are farther away. It's up to you. Okay, put your name small in the corner. And we're going to cap our pens. And the first thing you're going to need is your oil pastels. Again, if you don't have those, I would suggest colored pencils for the grass, and then you can actually paint the sky. Colored pencils and watercolors work fine together. Markers, don't do markers with watercolors, not the Crayola. They will run and your picture will be a mess. Okay, so you need, like I said, either colored pencils or the oil pastels. I'm going to do oil pastels. And you are going to need the light green, dark green, light green, dark green, and I like a little yellow for the grass. We got these nice spring grass growing. So first thing, so we're just gonna color these pieces of grass. Now you can either make them, you could do a little light green on them and then a little dark green and mix the two colors. You can make some just dark green. This picture that I did, I actually used the bigger set of these, which I know you can get on Amazon. That's the 25 count, and I have a box somewhere near here. And that one, this one, if you end up getting this one has, yeah, this one has, no, that's not looking so good, but it has some extra greens in it. Okay, so you could do some greens here. Now, my suggestion, especially my younger kids, I would not make every single one of them just green. Green, 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 green. Why? Because that starts to look kind of boring. And if we go outside and if we were to look at the grass, and if you get a chance, hopefully with the weather getting better, you'll be able to get outside and maybe sit in the grass for a little bit, look for a four-leaf clover. You'll notice that the grass has actually a lot of colors, or at least a lot of different shades of green, especially this time of year. This is March here, and we're having kind of an early spring, and I can tell my grass is starting to grow already. And so we kind of have that light green spring grass in there. Okay, so I'm doing, I'm mixing the two. I'm doing some light green on top of dark green. You could also do the other way. This is light green on dark green. You could do dark green on light green. And the other thing I would like you to try, if you want, is take some yellow, particularly the yellow with green. So if you take these two, you can also do this with colored pencil. Again, you need light green, dark green, yellow colored pencils. Try these two together. So I've got green here. And if I put some yellow on top of it, now of course we know yellow and blue make green, but I don't think I want to try mixing yellow and blue on my picture for my grass, because I think that might look a little strange. But if you do the yellow on the green, now that looks like maybe the moonlight is hitting our grass. I was going to say the sun, but oh, actually, well, I was going to say you could make it a sun, and then I thought, wait a second, no you can't, because the fireflies aren't out in the daylight. This has to be a night scene. Okay, and the last one I have over here. Let me do some light green. Now the fun thing about pastels that I like is the way they blend. So when you use 2 or 3 colors together on top of each other, they blend really nicely. Okay, so then we have the grass down here. So what I would say is go back and forth. It's usually better to go in one direction rather than up and down and side to side and over here, because that's just gonna look kind of scribbly and it won't look as nice. So remember, take your time. Art is something that you don't have to rush through. And one other thing, if you would like, I usually like to play music while I'm drawing, but because I'm using my phone to tape this, I can't play on my phone right now. So when we get to the coloring part, if you want to pause or wait till at the end, you can put on some of your favorite music to draw to. So I'm going to add a little yellow here. Maybe the moon is so bright. It's shining on the grass, which if you ever get a chance to see a full moon at night, which I'm sure you have, it's amazing how bright it is, right? It basically lights up the whole sky. And if there's any clouds in the sky, it makes those bright too. So you could mix your, again, you could be mixing your light green, you can be mixing your light green with yellow, light green with a little dark green in here. Maybe the dark green is just kind of here and there. There we go. Okay, so the other thing you're gonna need is your white. And we're gonna use the white on the moon and the jar. So we can go ahead and outline this. Now your paper, chances are, is white, and you're gonna say, I don't see it, Miss Amy. I cannot see the white here. That's okay, because when you paint over it, it's gonna show up. So the oil pastel will resist the watercolor, and you will be able to see it. So I'll put a little white around the edge of my jar. Go down the sides, on the bottom. And the little fireflies, I'm gonna make their wings white. And then I'm gonna switch to yellow. Now one trick, if your pastels are getting dirty, this one I have green on, you can take a paper towel, and all you have to do is actually just twist your oil pastel in a paper towel and it'll clean it. The other thing, if you're getting a lot of pastels on your fingers, just wipe them on a paper towel also. And then of course when you're done, wash your hands. So the yellow I'm going to do on the little circles here. And then I'm going to put some curves around my moon. I think the moon is glowing here, which makes me think of Van Gogh's Starry Night with all of the curves around the moon. All right, now maybe just a touch of orange, really light, super light. And if you want, maybe a little bit of white in there. And again, you're not gonna see the white as much because if your paper is pure white, you are just basically putting white on white. So you're not gonna really see it. Okay, so that's about all you need for your pastels. The other thing you could do is really careful with your black pastel or black colored pencil. You can do the body of your fireflies. But as always, I remind everybody just to use black last, and just be really careful with black. It tends to, if you put it on too much, it will overpower your picture, and be really careful with black watercolor. Okay, so the next thing you need is your watercolors. And this set, I've got red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, brown, and I actually took out the black because these pop out. So then you need your water cup and brush. So what we're going to do is we are going to color the sky. Let me give you some choices. So go ahead, what you want to do is always get your brush wet first. So I always swirl it, wipe it, and then pick my color. So you're going to swirl it, so you could have just a blue sky. So you could just do your blue. And again, this is newsprint paper, so it's not gonna look good with watercolor on it. This is where you want your heavyweight paper. The other option is if you take blue with purple, and you can mix it in your lid, you can mix it on the paper. You can do a little blue, a little purple, and you're going to get like a nice indigo color. So that's another option, a little blue and purple. You could also do blue here and then like an indigo here and a little blue here and kind of have different shades, sort of like this picture. I've got blues with purples. Put that back. Okay, so go ahead and you're gonna paint your sky. I'm not gonna do this whole picture because the newsprint, like I said, just really doesn't hold watercolor well. And then your last two steps, if you have the glitter glue or if you have salt, what you want to do is, let me take this one again. And so let's say that your sky is all filled in and you're ready for your salt. You're going to take your brush, and what I want you to do is, let me take a tiny bit of blue here. Okay, put some blue. You're going to need a lot of water, almost like you're making a puddle. Maybe not like that. Hold on, come back. Of course, I'm doing mine up and down. Yours is probably should be flat on the table like this. Okay, so you have a nice puddly spot here. And you could just put water on it. I would probably put more water than paint. More paint, more water. Okay, so it's pretty wet now, your spot. And you can do this across your sky. Maybe I would work one section at a time. And I'm gonna take some salt. And I'm gonna just put a little bit in my hand, because you really don't need to go crazy. Again, I suggest doing this over, definitely over the table. If you can do it. If you have a garbage can nearby, take your picture and just hold it over the garbage can. And then you're going to sprinkle your salt into the wet spot of your watercolor. And you're going to have this, it's going to just have wet salt on it right now, but in a few minutes you're going to wait till it dries. Put a little more salt in there. And then you can also, if it's really wet, like mine is dripping, I don't want it to drip. You just dab it with a paper towel. Okay, so then that's gonna dry, and it's going to give you this really cool texture, like this one, where it's like, there's like these little bursts in the sky, which is kind of cool. You don't have to do this. If you don't have salt, you don't want to do this, that's fine. You can just leave it, you can just leave it plain. Maybe just a plain blue sky, that's fine also. And then the last step, again, if you have it, or if you do order it, you can always come back to your picture another day. And we're just gonna take our, put down my paper towel. We're just gonna take our glue, and all we wanna do is, we wanna just dot the little, so we're just dotting the little fireflies here. You can either just dot their little shiny part, their little light up part, or we can also shine up the stars in the sky. I wouldn't get too crazy. That usually looks pretty good. If you start putting glitter everywhere, you're gonna kind of lose some of your details. So I would say that's probably enough. All right. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed that lesson on fireflies in a jar. And if you want more information about my art classes, please visit my website, www.artteacheramy.com. Be sure to click the like, comment, and subscribe button below and hit the little bell to get notifications of when I post again. All right, thank you. Have a great day. See you next time.